So the method I chose to do for my whiskey plank was the way that Nick Offerman did it in the Canoe Craft DVD, only he stapled these little blocks down and he can't staple through skateboards, so I hot glued mine. And they're just scrap cut-offs of old strips, so they have the cove routed in them to accept the groove in the bottom of the other strip that I'm gluing into it. And then just lots of straps and clamps and wedges to get that all to stay in place. Off camera, I ended up gluing a third strip on just because I needed like 1/8 of an inch more material there. Also, I planed the bead off of the bottom of it to fit in there. Then I made a center mark, and then from there made a line every inch on the hull itself. Then took my plank and made the center lines match up and transferred each of those 1-inch benchmarks across the plank to match the hull. Then used a compass, or as the Canoe Craft book calls them, dividers, and I measured the gap in the hull at each one of those benchmarks, and then transferred that gap onto my plank. Then took a straight edge and connected all those dots, and that's how I got my shape to cut. So then I took that plank in to my bandsaw just to get a rough cut, and cut, pretty far outside of my line. At this point, I realized I cut a bit too far outside of my line and needed to do a bit more fine-tuning with my disc sander before I really started fine-tuning with the hand plane and block plane. And this block plane and the vise technique was really, really nice for getting these fine tips, these skinny little points, because they're very fragile. And then you can literally see the sun setting, as this was the majority of my afternoon, just planing a tiny little bit off at a time and making it fit. And I started it at one side and made the end fit, and then made my benchmarks line up and worked my way towards the middle. And then once I got it one whole side to fit, then I started on the other side, got the tip to fit, and worked my way towards the middle. And then when I was happy with my fit, squirted some glue on there, which was a very, very exciting moment. Lots of work went in to be able to get to that point. And that was just the most satisfying thing in the world, tapping that thing in place. I was thinking for sure I was going to have some big gaps and wasn't going to be able to get it to fit as tight as I wanted, but it was actually a little bit easier than I was making it out in my mind, and I'm very happy with the fit I managed to get. Threw some straps on just to keep it all in place and tight. There I'm going under and pushing up in a couple of places to make sure that that seam is totally flush on both sides. And that's pretty much how I got my whiskey strip in place on my recycled skateboard Canoe.
All right.
Woohoo!
She's there.
And then for our little whiskey plank celebration, my friend and roommate Mike Jones supplied some Snitching Lady whiskey from our friends up in Loveland. I'm not a whiskey drinker, but that was some nice whiskey. Thank you for that. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or anything, please comment, and I'll try and answer.